and welcome to episode 4, and we've hit March 1996, as you can see from this magazine here, which we'll be using to guide us through these games this month. So we're looking at everything that's reviewed in this magazine and comparing my thoughts with their thoughts, and lots of gameplay footage as well. So here's a quick sneak peek of what's to come. So the first game we're going to be looking at today is Descent, which is this one here. And yeah, this one is a 3D shooter, first-person shooter style game, but you're actually flying a craft, so adds a bit more floatiness to everything, which is good and bad. It means you can also flip the whole map 180, you can spin around, and yeah, you can get a bit nauseated by it all, but it is good fun. The magazine really liked this one. They said it's the best blaster of 1995, and yeah, it's a very good conversion from what I can tell. I've not played the PC version in a very long time, but it felt really good. The controls felt absolutely fine once you get used to the whole spinning and rotating the world around. They basically said that the levels are all quite samey. The corridors look quite similar. But it's still a very good game. Even getting lost feels quite fun and challenging. Overall, they gave it an 8 out of 10 and said a smooth 3D engine put to good effect in the massive puzzly action-packed blaster. And there's even a head-to-head battle mode too. So yeah, 8 out of 10 is very good. My thoughts on this one, I also really enjoyed it actually. I thought it was really good. It sets itself apart from Doom. It's not quite as good as Doom, but at least it feels different to a lot of the other first-person shooters out there. And yeah, I enjoyed the level design. Essentially, you navigate around this maze-like levels. You do have a pretty cool 3D, like a wireframe map to help you through that as well, which is good. Obviously, you're shooting enemies as you find them, rescuing people as you find them as well. And then you have to set off a bomb, and before the bomb explodes you have to find the exit to the level. So yeah, really good overall, and yeah, I'd also agree with the 8 out of 10 conclusion on this one. Enjoyed playing it, will happily play it again. Very good game, so good start to this episode. Next up we have Johnny Bazooka Tone, which is this one here. Very stylized, character-driven platformer. Yeah, this one is platformer, but with like 3D characters, kind of claymation style actually, more than anything. So it's not that great. I suppose the closest comparison graphically, I'd say something like Donkey Kong Country, but done with attitude, as often these things were in the 90s. We've got a 3-page review here. Overall, they gave the game a 6 out of 10. The main thing they said about the game was its fiddly controls and terrible collision detection or hit detection, and it can be very, very frustrating to play. But if you can get over that, then some of the levels are quite intriguing. Some of them have some interesting puzzles, and yeah, some of the special moves on the game are quite interesting as well, according to the review. They said 6 out of 10 and said it's hair-tearingly fiddly, but includes enough clever levels and graphical touches to keep you smiling, albeit with a grimace. You won't finish it in a day though. My thoughts on this one, I found it too frustrating. I couldn't get past the terrible controls and the terrible collision detection that they mentioned in this review, so I didn't actually get very far with it. I tried for a good I don't know, 45 minutes or so. I know that doesn't sound very long, but God, this game was frustrating to play. Yeah, I did not enjoy it at all. The level design for me wasn't very exciting from what I played of it. And yeah, I'd actually say this is one of the worst games I've played so far. Yes, did not get on with this one at all. So I'm only going to give this one a 2 out of 10. If you like platformers, again, as mentioned on previous episodes, I'm not the biggest fan of platformers. So if you do like platformers and you do like the challenge of a platformer, then you may get a bit more mileage out of this one, but it was definitely not for me. Next we have Off-World Interceptor Extreme, which is another 3DO port, I believe. This one is a driving game, stroke shoot 'em up. Well, you'll see from the gameplay footage, it's unusual. It's kind of a scalar type game with varied terrain for you to drive over and shoot the other cars to get to the end of the level. Once you get to the end of the level, you get to upgrade your vehicles. Yeah, it's an interesting type of game. It does have FMVs as well, although annoyingly they've decided to put these weird shadows in front of the FMV that take the mick out of the FMV, which some of the jokes land but most of them don't, and I'd rather just have the FMVs, to be honest with you, bad acting or not, or at least the option to turn that off. That'd probably be the best solution, but yeah, you're unable to do that, unfortunately. But yeah, the game itself, I was surprised. Initially when I loaded it up and started playing through, I thought, this doesn't feel very good, the handling feels a little erratic and whatnot. But I still had fun with it. I thought it was an okay game. It's well, first of all, they pretty much said it was not quite a shoot 'em up and not quite a driving game, and it kind of lost about what it should be. They also didn't really care too much for the weird FMVs. Overall, what did they give it? They gave it a 5 out of 10 and said, ultimately, Off-World's too frantic for those that enjoy racing and not detailed enough for shoot-'em-up fans. Stuck between two stools. So yeah, 5 out of 10 is not that great. I'd probably give it a similar score, to be honest. Like I say, 5 out of 10 for me is kind of an okay game you can have a bit of fun with for a while, but ultimately not much substance. Maybe a 6. Yeah, well, probably a 6 if it didn't have the annoying FMV cutscenes. Well, if it didn't have them cut up, I suppose. Yeah, 5 out of 10 is probably fair, to be honest. If you want to give this sort of game a go, I think it's pretty damn cheap, to be honest. And yeah, it's fun for a while, is what I'd say on this one. Next up is Panzer General, which is this one here, which box is about as bland as the gameplay. Well, not the gameplay, but certainly the presentation. This is a war game, so it's very much a strategy game, and the graphics aren't really that important. It's if you're a history nerd and you like strategy war game type things, then you probably get a lot out of this one. It's very well executed. It's kind of simple to get into, but very complex once you get going. The review gave it an 8 out of 10, and yeah, basically said very much what I've just said. It's graphically not the best thing in the world, but can get very addictive. In this one as well, you play the bad guys, which is a little unusual. You are playing the German armies, and yeah, like I said, they gave it 8 out of 10. They said, as far as war games go, this is as good as it gets. Its neat graphics and almost endless playability make Panzer General a must for history buffs. I'm not a history buff, and I'm not too fussed for the old hexagonal style of wargaming, but I still played this for a good hour and a half, 2 hours, and it's okay. Like I say, it's not my thing, but I can see why people would get addicted to this sort of game. I imagine if you got this one for Christmas and it's one of the only games you've got, you'd probably put a lot of time into it trying to figure out the best tactics and buying tanks and yeah, just having a bit of fun. There's also quite a bit of a encyclopedia built into it that you can read about the different tanks and all of that. So yeah, if you're like I say, if you're a bit of a history nerd, then this is probably an interesting game for you. For me, I would say this is probably a 5 or a 6 again. I didn't really get drawn into it. I didn't want to play it much more than I played it. But it was an okay time whilst I was playing it. The next game we have here is Myst. An absolute classic and a big driver of CD-ROM sales back in the early 90s. And I definitely played this one a lot. It was really, really good game back in on the PC is where I played it. This is obviously a conversion for the PlayStation, and yeah, overall it's a good conversion. It's not as rapid as the PC version. You can't fly through it quite as quickly, so it is a much more slow and laboured approach. The magazine basically says that yeah, it's a lot of slideshows and a lot of thinking, and kind of reminds you of a point-and-click game but with less inventory management and more noting things down and taking screenshots, which I definitely agree with. They also recommend getting the guide, which they pictured in the article as well. They give it a 7 out of 10 and said, "Don't expect any white-knuckle spills or thrills. This is one for the thinker rather than the doer. Deep gameplay, twisting plot and pretty pictures, all very nice." 7 out of 10. I love Myst. I think it's a fantastic game. I remember playing this when I was much younger and getting really absorbed in the plot, and yeah, I loved solving the puzzles, working my way around the islands and through the different ages. And yeah, I'd say the PC version of this is probably a solid 9 out of 10. I think it's a very, very good game. This version I would dock a point to 8 out of 10 just because it doesn't play quite as well without a proper mouse interface, and well, you can't. I think you might actually be able to play this with a mouse. Does it mention it in here? No, it doesn't. But anyway, it just doesn't flow quite as well. So the animations just seem a lot better on the PC. And I don't think that's just nostalgia talking. I think it does feel a lot more sluggish to play. But if you don't have the PC version or a way to play it on PC, and you've got it in your PlayStation collection, then it's still a really good game and a very enjoyable one at that. And yeah, it forged the way for many other games, heavily inspired games like The Witness, which is an amazing puzzle game. Talos Principle, I think it's called, is another modern one, and of course the fantastic Blue Prince game that's come out recently is, I'm sure, was very heavily inspired by Myst and all that it held. So brilliant game. I think anyone who hasn't played this should definitely play it, but I'd stick with playing the PC version. Next up is Gex, which is the first of the Gex games. This one's a 2D platformer, unlike its sequels, which I believe are all 3D platformers. But yeah, this one is a 3DO conversion once again, as a lot of the early PlayStation games were. And yeah, it's your typical platformer. It's got a variety of challenges at many different levels, lots of designs, and a cute main character. This guy is wisecracking with lots of voice dialogue, and the magazine basically says it's kind of similar to many other games out there, such as Mario World and whatnot, but it's still one of the better platformers on the PlayStation. It does have good variety, a few weapon power-ups, that sort of thing. They give it a 7 out of 10 and said, "We were prepared for the worst, but Gex is really quite good. Plenty of variety, some tricky tasks, and loads of places to visit. Thumbs up." Once again, to repeat, I do not like platform games, generally speaking. I find them quite frustrating and not particularly rewarding for me personally. But this was one of the better ones. I would say I would give this somewhere between a 5 and a 6, which for me, for a platform game, is quite high. It still was frustrating in places, and the magazine also mentions you can only save the game every like 3 or 4 worlds. Well, you get a password every 3 or 4 worlds, which can be quite frustrating to have to repeat those, you know, if you come back to the game later on. So it's ups and downs. I still found it personally a little bit too frustrating to play. You'll probably see from my gameplay footage I'm probably doing loads of things wrong, but it's it was an okay game, and I'll give it an okay mark of either a 5 or a 6, somewhere around that sort of score. Anyway, on to the next one. So straight away after the Gex review, we get Creature Shock, which is actually a Japanese game. It never actually got released in PAL territories, which is strange for it to be reviewed in this magazine, especially considering it originates in the UK as well. So I guess Data East just decided they didn't want to publish this one after all. And to be honest, I'm glad they didn't, because it is awful. Truly awful. Anyway, first of all, what did the magazine say? It's a conversion from a PC game, which is more animations than it is gameplay. And instead of adding any features to the game, they basically just converted it straight up. And yeah, it just controls terribly. The cursor interface, which you use your joypad to control, doesn't work very well, because as the animation moves, so does your cursor, and then you're fighting to figure out what comes next. So it just doesn't play well at all. Don't get me wrong, the graphics are nice, kind of, if a little bit repetitive, but it probably would have been pretty cool at the time to see these big animated sequences. However, they're all quite jerky, because they have to load in between each scene. The gameplay itself is dreadful, and yeah, I couldn't get on with this game at all. They give it a 5 out of 10, which I think is very generous, and they've said, an attempt to harness the power of FMV, which falls between commendable and foolhardy, if only the action were a little less predetermined. I give this a 2 out of 10. It's terrible. I don't recommend playing it, and thankfully you don't have to have it in your collection if you're collecting a full PAL set, because it's a Japanese only game. So yeah, don't bother with this one. On to the next game. Next up we have True Pinball by those wonderful fellas at Digital Illusions, and published by Ocean. Nice big box there. This one is, yeah, from the Swedish developers, and they made the Amiga games and PC games, Pinball Dreams, Pinball Fantasies, Pinball Illusions, so they know a lot about pinball. And this is basically a 3D representation of those games on the PlayStation, and it's brilliant. If you like pinball games, you'll definitely like this one. I really enjoyed this. First of all, the magazine essentially says that yes, it's conversions of those games, but in 3D, and they play better in 3D. It feels more realistic, like an actual pinball machine. They have interactive modes using the like LED display at the top of the screen. You can get like multi-balls, which are fantastic fun as well. All the usual pinball stuff, to be honest with you, just done really well, and yeah, feels solid. There's 4 tables to choose from. There's a sci-fi themed one, there's a beach party style one, I think there was an extreme sports one, and a Vikings one, which was my personal favourite and actually had me chuckling quite a bit, did the Viking ones. There's lots of funny interactions, funny little like audio notes, and yeah, it's just a lot of fun. They give it a 7 out of 10 and said, a cultured realistic pinball simulation with multi-ball and video modes. True Pinball is flipping faster than lightning, and you'll either like or ignore. I very much like. I guess pinball is something I must enjoy. I must admit, when I go to one of these modern arcades that seems to be popping up everywhere at the moment, I do tend to find myself in the pinball section quite often. Same when I go to gaming expos and whatnot. I do enjoy pinball because it's not something you can really experience at home. You can play most video games and arcade games on emulation, and obviously I've got a decent collection of games to play as well. And when you go to a convention, they've got all those set up. I tend to go for either the rare consoles that I never see before, or I go to the pinball section, which is very difficult to get on anything because everyone seems to go to the pinball section. Overall, I'd give this one an 8 out of 10. I thought it was really, really good, and I really enjoyed playing it through. I must have played for, God, a good 2 hours or more, just for the gameplay footage for this, and I'll definitely be going back to it because I liked the tables. They had good variety and also really good difficulty levels as well, so it's not like you saw everything on your first playthrough. In fact, it took you several playthroughs, especially on some of the earlier tables like the sci-fi ones. Quite difficult, but I like that challenge on these. It was good fun, and like I said, the Vikings one is just fantastic. So if you like pinball, definitely get this game. It's still really cheap, and it is a really, really good pinball game. Next, we have a game called Zero Divide, which is this rather nice box art here. And yeah, this is a 3D beat 'em up. The magazine basically says this one is going to get a little bit lost in between Toshinden and Tekken, and I think it probably did, but it's actually really good. It features giant fighting robots and lots of cool moves, lots of challenge, and yeah, it plays really well actually. The magazine said that yeah, it's a very good game. They said the graphics aren't quite up there with Tekken or Toshinden, and the frame rate's a bit sluggish on the PAL version. But other than that, they said it's a good fighter. It has good moves, it has fun ring outs. You can kind of hang on the edge of the arena rather than being knocked straight out, and yeah, it's a good challenge. You've got quite a few secret moves as well, and some counter-attacking, and yeah, it's a decent game. Also includes Tiny Phalanx, which I didn't realise, which is a little shoot 'em up from the SNES era, which never actually made it to UK shores, but did have a rather dubious artwork in the US. But yeah, they gave it a 7 out of 10 and said, good solid beat 'em up, but without the thrills of Tekken. It lacks instant appeal, but rewards perseverance with some unique fighting action. I would say, yeah, that's pretty much true. Tekken is slightly better, I would say overall. It's probably the better fighter, but if you prefer more sci-fi in your fighting games, then yeah, this is a really, really good option. I'd probably give it the same mark as Tekken actually. I think I gave Tekken an 8, and I'd say this is an 8, even if it does sit slightly underneath Tekken. It's very, very close. I really enjoyed playing it through. I enjoyed the challenge, even though it's quite difficult in places, it was still fun. And that's always the difficult balance to get that right. So, no, a really, really good game. Still very cheap, and yeah, definitely add it to your collection. A lot of fun to be had here. So yeah, another 8 from me here. The penultimate game in this issue is NBA In The Zone, which is this one here. And it's another basketball game. It's the third one we've had now. As you may remember from the other ones, basketball's just not a sport I'm that interested in. But this one probably is it's definitely the easiest of the three. Whether it's the best, I'll leave that up to you, basketball fans. I thought it was okay. I thought because it was easy, it was a little bit more fun for me to play. The review essentially says that it's a bit too easy. They found it far too easy, in fact, and they think that Total NBA, which is the most recent one we reviewed, and they give a 9 out of 10, is obviously the much better game. They gave this one a 6 out of 10 and said, In The Zone, whilst reasonably attractive and playable, does not compare favourably with Total NBA. Head to head, you have to go for the latter. I didn't get on with Total NBA because I found it too difficult, but again, I'm not au fait with the rules of basketball, and I didn't enjoy the experience. This one I enjoyed a lot more. In fact, I'd say if there was a way to combine this with NBA Jam, which we played in the first issue, I think it was, with the fun over-the-top moves and whatnot, then that'd be a better basketball game for me, and I might even give it a 5 or a 6 or even higher if it was a lot of fun. But I struggle to get past, the fact that it's basketball. So even though I enjoyed this one more than the other ones, I'd still only give it a 4 personally. But again, look at the gameplay footage. If you think you'd like this sort of thing, give it a go. Although it sounds like Total NBA is probably the better game for most people. And the final game we're looking at today is Philosoma, which has quite a nice box art actually. Quite like that one. This is a shoot 'em up, or shmup if you prefer. And yeah, it's considered it's the last one in the magazine. They've given it a 3-page article here. And yeah, they only give it a 5 out of 10 overall, and they said basically it's a lot of really good graphical work, but not a lot of gameplay. They compared it with the NTSC version, which they said was obviously smoother frame rate, but actually had less features, less enemies and whatnot. So they changed that up for the PAL version, put more enemies in, and also made the game a lot harder, which I have to say is annoying as a person who likes easy games. But yeah, it's an interesting game. So it's got, as you'll see from the gameplay footage, it's got several different camera angles. So it's not just a vertical shooter or a horizontal shooter. In fact, it's all of those, as well as a 3D shooter and into screen and out of screen. And yeah, it basically does every perspective you can think of for a shooter, which was quite interesting, and I thought that was quite unique. But yeah, obviously the magazine didn't agree with that. My main issue with this game was the difficulty. So the save points, or the respawn points I suppose, are quite far back, so you might go through 3 or 4 or 5 different screens of enemies, and then find yourself dying and then have to repeat all of those again, which I felt was a little bit unnecessary and a little bit well, very off-putting for me personally. I did it a few times, but it started to get to me after a while. Overall, they gave it a 5 out of 10 and said a commendable attempt at a one-size-fits-all blaster that unfortunately lacks structure and oomph. Mind you, we'd love to see a Philosoma 2. I'm not sure if that ever happened actually. I've not looked into that. But yeah, like I said, I thought it was okay. I like shoot 'em ups. I do like a well-made shoot 'em up. I really enjoyed. What was it earlier on? Raiden 2 especially. I thought that was good fun, and the Proteus game was good as well. But this one's probably just a 5, like they've given it, maybe a 6 actually. It's got a lot of potential. I just wish it had better save points or better respawn points. If it did, I'd probably play it a lot more. But as it is, it's a little bit too frustrating for me right now. Maybe it's something I'll go back to in future, but yeah, if you like a challenging shmup, then maybe this is one for you. Maybe check it out. But that's the last game for this episode. So to round up a much better episode than the last one we played, or read through I suppose, played through, read through. So yeah, much more enjoyable games, and a couple absolute stinkers in what was it, Johnny Bazooka Tone, and what was the other stinker that I really didn't like? Looking through, oh, Creature Shock. Terrible games, but we did get some good ones at least. So to highlight my favourites, Zero Divide I thought was really good, and yeah, a really good 3D battling one-on-one fighter. So if you like Tekken, you'll probably like this. Descent I really enjoyed, not quite as good as Doom, but still a very fun game and a different perspective on that genre of game. Myst was also fantastic, and again, as I mentioned in the review portion of this, the PC version is the better game to play, but it's still a really fun game, and everyone needs to play Myst at some point in their lives. And then finally, True Pinball I thought was a very, very good selection of great pinball games, and again, a lot of fun to play through. Really enjoyed my time on that one. So that's it. If you enjoyed that, please do like it. Please leave some comments, especially if you played these games. I'd love to hear from you on your experiences playing through some of these games. Did you have any of these when you were a kid, when PlayStation first came out? Have you recently got some of these and decided to play them and have got your own opinions that completely contradict mine? I'd love to hear from you. And yeah, let me know what you think. Let me know what you think of this series. If you'd like to see more like this, of course, hit that subscribe button if you're not already subscribed. And yeah, I'll see you for the next one, which will be April. Cheers. See ya.